What's up, you guys? Steven here for Off the Shelf Movie Night to talk to you about DVDs and Blu-rays and 4Ks, you know, physical media, the things that we love to buy and own and collect and that kind of thing. This is a little bit of a weird intro because I realized as I was doing my Arrow video complete collection update, that video got long. I mean, we're talking about 50-something minutes long. So what I decided to do was do a special little intro here, and I'm going to break it into two pieces. So one, it's easier to upload, and two, it's easier to digest. I think an hour-long video is a lot sometimes. I do watch a lot of you guys' hour-long videos, and I love them, but not everybody is into that sort of thing. So I'm going to give you two pieces here. We're going to break it up. Part one is going to be standard Arrow video releases. Part two is going to be slipcovers and limited edition releases. So if you like this kind of stuff, please give this video a sub if you haven't already, and a like and share would be real helpful as far as getting the word out about what I'm doing here and what we love to talk about. Share with me what you have in your Arrow collection, and if you see something that you think I should add that I don't have, give me an update. Let me know what that is, and I'll take a look. So anyway, let's get on with part one of the complete Arrow video collection update. What's up, everybody? All right, let's get into the Arrow complete collection update. I bought some things that I haven't probably shared on here. I don't share everything just because sometimes things are like very much catalog titles. I try to, but sometimes I just get excited. I crack it open and watch it and throw it on the shelf. So there may be a few things here you haven't seen before. You may, I don't honestly know. Hell, I don't know. Anyway, we're doing some coffee in the Captain America mug here, so got a little caffeine going. So let's get started with this. I want to start, as I previously mentioned, we're going to start with the standard editions, just regular Arrow video releases, but I have 3 releases here that were blind buys for me. One of them I've had for quite a while, and I'm going to watch it. I was kind of holding off, waiting for the season. The season is upon us, so I'm going to watch it now. And 2 others that I bought because they were really good prices and they just seemed interesting and might be something fun I would like, but I haven't seen them, so I have to decide if they're going to stay on the shelf. So if you've seen these films, please talk to me about it in the comments. Let me know what you thought of them. No spoilers, please. I know these are one of these in particular is a much older film, but come on, don't spoil. And as I talk about the films I have in my collection, even if it's a 40-year-old film, probably not going to spoil because it's a new discovery for a lot of us, you know? So let's be nice. Anyway, here we go. The first one in my Arrow collection is Dead End Drive-In. I always mix the camera up for some stupid reason. I have not seen this film. Don't know why. I never have gotten around to it, and this was a really great sale. I think maybe this was a family video situation. Not sure, but I don't remember exactly. But I know I got it for a very good price. I'm thinking like $10 in that space, and I thought for $10, let's give it a go. There's the inside. Some pretty cool, like, classic art there. Don't know literally anything about this film other than the trailer. So if you've watched it and you own it, let me know in the comments what you thought. All right. Gonna blow through these first 3 because I don't know much about them, right? So this is an older Arrow release. It's called We Are the Flesh. Again, this one I don't remember. It was under $15 though, I believe. There it is. Don't know anything about it. Cool. I got a little bit of disc art there. This one does come with a booklet, which I love it when they come with the booklets. I love to be able to look at artwork from the film and, you know, read some cool articles from the film as I watch. Lots of times, or before or after I watch. I always get disappointed when I can't get the limited edition that comes with a very nice book, but sometimes you just can't do it. This has a lot of stuff in there, so I'm excited for that. I probably, if this stays, if it ends up being something I like and it stays, I'll probably flip to this artwork because I actually like it much better. Sometimes the subtle artwork is better. So let me know. Did you like it? Should I keep it? This one is a more recent release. This is called Deadbeat by Dawn. Again, this was like a $10 purchase on a sale. Probably, again, it was probably Family Video, because they did a pretty great Arrow Video sale earlier in the year. The only thing I know is I've heard the last 15 minutes or something of this is pretty hardcore. There's the inside. And kind of cool on the inside art. I might flip to that. It's so abstract, in a way. Probably will make more sense after I've watched it. What did you think? Did you like it? So those are the 3 that I currently have that I need to watch to decide if they're staying on the shelf or not. The rest of what I have here is stuff that I've seen before. So what we have first up here is the Crazies. This is a George Romero film. It is a different twist on his zombie genre. That is George Romero's genre. I mean, there are films that you could say came before Night of the Living Dead that maybe were zombie, but he really established the genre with Night and with Dawn. I got very upset when I found out about the George Romero box set, because I love George Romero's films from the 70s, 60s and 70s. But it went out of print very fast, and now it's really expensive on the secondary market. So with that, I decided to just start trying to acquire the films individually, and that's what I'm going to do. I think the only thing I'm going to lose by doing that is the cool box that they're in, which is okay, and the book. I think there was a book in the package too, and I hate that. I really am disappointed about losing that. So if you haven't seen The Crazies, take a look. It's one of those films. It's very campy. Romero does everything with a little bit of sort of utilitarian humor, is what I call it, because he comes from a background of corporate videography, and you can kind of feel it sometimes, but that's not an insult. It just has this sort of utilitarian feel. It's not got a bunch of flourishes and unnecessary stuff. His films are actually cut to the bone too. So there's some silliness in the film, and it does, like Romero was so good at it in the early days of his career, it does have some pretty cool social and political commentary in it, but it isn't pounding you in the head the way modern films do. So I've got a set of movies here, 2 that I want to talk about because they are connected in a way that is good and bad. The first one is Pray for Death. Pray for Death is a late 80s ninja movie. This movie to me kind of signified the end of an era of that genre. The 80s was arguably it was the era of the slasher film. But it was also a great era of ninja movies thanks to the Cannon Group. Pray for Death was really the last sort of real, traditional superhero guy in the suit. And I say superhero because I always say that ninjas were the first superheroes. Even though they weren't really heroes, they were kind of on the dark side of being a hero. Sho Kosugi was generally the hero, except maybe in Ninja 3, The Domination, but that's a whole other discussion that we can have, because that movie is a lot. But Pray for Death is sort of your typical formula ninja movie. He plays a father and entrepreneur. He's starting a new business. The property he buys, he finds himself embroiled with some gangster types, and then his family gets attacked, and then he must seek revenge. Little did the gangsters know they were dealing with a hardcore ninja. So that's this movie. I loved the ninja movies of the 80s. When I was a kid, I used to watch them, and to me, they were just so much fun. It was just cool to see what gadget they're going to come up with, This one does have a book with it. Let me see. I think there is a picture here of him kind of. So this is the one everyone knows that have seen the movie. It's him in the sort of ninja headgear. This may be the most over-the-top ninja headgear that there's been. This whole outfit may be the most over-the-top. It's kind of crazy. Let me see if is there a good picture of it. And there's a lot of pictures, obviously, of him here, along with the essays and articles that are here, but I don't know. No, there's not really a good picture of him in the complete outfit, but that's okay. There's the inside. Let's see. Here's the original art. I prefer the newer art. This is the kind of 80s cover art that I don't care for. This is like some old VHS tape looking cover art, and sometimes that's a good thing, but not necessarily with action movies. Although you do get sort of a little rendition of him in his full regalia there. I prefer this sort of mysterious ninja kind of art that was done by Arrow Video, and there's just ads in here for other things. And I usually just keep those in there most of the time. I try not to lose them. So the other one is Rage of Honor. Now, Rage of Honor to me is not your sort of traditional ninja movie in the way that I like it. This is an action movie with some martial arts in it. And, Chuck Norris was probably the guy that did that the best, doing something like... he really went with Invasion USA and Delta Force and that kind of thing away from the martial arts, mostly into straight up, machine gun action. This one tries to combine the two, but it also is a very, very low budget action film. Let me see if I can find you a picture. So this kind of really tells the tale right here, this picture, because it has him doing a kick and then a dude with a machine gun. It's kind of like the combo plate of those two things. And this movie is okay. Sho Kosugi, his charisma and, zeal for what he's doing elevates the movie beyond what it really is. It's really not that great. But I'm going to tell you why it's on my shelf. Let me just pop this out so you can see the original artwork, which was the same as the front of the book there. It's okay. This artwork I kind of like better only because it kind of matches the other one, the other Kosugi film, which, okay. So what they did, let me just get them both up here. See, so they kind of match together. There's a style that's very similar. What they did in this one is they did an extensive, their primary bonus feature, an extensive interview with Sho about his career, how he got into martial arts, and then from there found his way into film. It's a very long interview, and I loved it because I'm a fan of Sho Kosugi. You will be too if you watch these films and you like martial arts. At the end of it, though, it stops, and a title card comes up that tells you that the interview is going to be continued on this film. And it is. There's a whole lot more here. The interview continues. So I had to have this film, even though I already kind of knew I didn't like it that much. It's not that I hate it. It's just, it's not something I'm going to watch. There are better versions of this movie from the 80s. But what I will do is watch this movie a lot, and then watch the interview, and then watch part 2 of the interview. And that's why I own this one. Long story made longer by me. So moving forward, so I'm going to cut to the chase a little bit on some of these, try to get moving. The Initiation. Very fun movie. Like this movie a lot. This is your typical 70s, 80s era slasher film, with not teenagers, but the college age, Just show you the artwork here. It's the inside. I haven't flipped it. I generally like to keep the original artwork, but I don't know. I liked this one. I liked this art. A fun film. There's not a lot to say about it. It's not going to knock your socks off. But if you're doing a Friday night and you want to watch, you want to marathon some 80s like slasher films, this is a very good presentation and a fun film. I enjoy it. Now we're going to get into something. We're going to return to this director a few times. We're going to get into something a little bit more challenging, and that is Audition. I've had this movie in at least 2 different DVD variants that I can remember, and now I have this Blu-ray. And this Blu-ray is the best presentation of the movie so far. It's a early 2000s movie from director Takeshi Miike. In the early 2000s, he was probably not probably, he was one of the best horror film directors in the world. His horror films coming out of Japan were not as much jump scare type things. In fact, I don't really remember a jump scare, except maybe in this movie, honestly, being very typical in his stuff. But he did know how to push your buttons and to disturb you. So this movie is very disturbing to me. Basically, the story is about a man who is trying to find love, but he's doing it in a very inappropriate way. And she teaches him a lesson that none of us will ever forget. The last act of this movie is very twisted. It is a slow burn, though. You know, you have to be ready to sort of sit down and soak it in. It's precisely a slow burn, but it is. It feels long. But by the time you get to that last act, you are sort of really entrenched with the characters, invested in all of them, and what happens is really effective. One of the best early 2000s horror films of all time. I mean, one of the best horror films of all time from the early 2000s, actually. Which says a lot, because the 2000s have not been the best era for horror. So we have here Bloody Birthday. I'll show you real quick because it is in here. If you look at the same artwork on the inside, but if you look at the original artwork, just get this out here. Sorry guys, this is enthralling, I know. If you look at the original artwork, I had the Severin release that had that artwork, and the Severin release was good. This one's better. The presentation's better. Bonus features a little better. So Bloody Birthday is one of those evil kid, evil child situations. You've got some kids here. Let me see if there is a picture of them, because there's a booklet inside also. I don't know if this came in an LE. I don't think it did, but they did do a book. You basically have a couple of kids here, evil kids that want things their way, and then they just kill people to get it. And the book here, the cover and everything is done in a very comic booky kind of way, which is very fitting to the story. Here you go. Here's some kids. This little girl right here owns the film, though. She owns it. She's terrifying. Like, super sweet and super terrifying at the same time. There is, I believe, just looking. I don't want to pull out anything that's spoilery, but yeah, there is a centerfold in here I can't show you. But this movie was gratuitous. There was a kind of a purpose in defining a character to the gratuitous nature of it, but there's some nudity in here, and it is featured in the fold out there. Very fun movie, very retro, very 70s. Again, this is the second version of this movie that I've had, and so far it's the best. Bloody Birthday, love it. You can tell that I watched this one because I did flip the art. This is one of my favorite giallos. I love this one. It's called Torso. Unless you can read the language there on the front, you wouldn't know, but let me just give you a shot of the back. Spine, just in case. So here's the inside. There is some disc art there. And then there's this artwork here, which I've been trying to remember who originally put this out. It wasn't Anchor Bay, but this was out on a DVD boutique label, and I had that one too. This obviously is much better. This is it's kind of got I can't show you that one. I was going to show you, it has this picture in here that is sort of the traditional giallo format with the gloved hand killing, usually the beautiful woman, but also, anybody. But there happens to be a tiny bit of sort of somewhat nudity in that picture, so I can't really show you that. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of writing in here. There's a lot of essays and things to peruse and enjoy. This is a very fun film to watch. If you haven't seen it, you can watch this as a night of giallo, or you can watch it as a night of slasher films too. It's just fun. It's gross at times and scary and devastating and fun if you're into that kind of fun. So stepping out of horror for a second, I do like other things. This is FM. I remember seeing a repeat of this movie when I was a kid. Maybe on HBO or something. But basically the movie is not just set, it was shot in the 70s, and it sort of focuses on the early days of FM radio. AM was actually first. FM came along later, and it was sort of the wild side of radio. They pushed boundaries and did edgier things until it became more mainstream, of course. And this follows DJs at a radio station as they sort of hold their own sort of protests against the army trying to do some advertising with them. So I really like this disc art. That's cool. Looks like a record. It's pretty neat. And then on the inside, we have the original art, which is pretty cool too. But I actually really like this newer art that they did, this commissioned art, because it feels modern, but it also feels of the era. And I don't know, I just like it. So I've kept it. That's highly recommended. It's sort of a drama comedy, and it has probably one of the best soundtracks of the late 70s for a film. They even promote the soundtrack on the posters, because it has Fleetwood Mac and a lot of other popular music from that era, and the music is intact. You know, lots of times we lose the music with these films, but the music is intact. Okay, here's something that I really tried to get the limited edition. I really did, and that's Creepshow 2. This thing went out of print before I could get it. So I tried to buy it on the secondary market, but I just couldn't get the price right. I think it was $120 or something. It was very expensive. So I finally just broke down and bought the standard edition because I love this movie. It's a horror anthology. Basically, there's a handful of different stories with different directors involved. These two movies, Creepshow and Creepshow 2, were put together by George Romero and Stephen King. And there's some fun stories in here. And what I really love, because this isn't, kind of a lower budget film, and it was done with practical effects, is the bonus features they talk about what the practical effects are. And there's one particular story that takes place in a lake with an oil monster, and a lot of it, the oil monster was just a black trash bag drugged through the water. That's real cool. I love to hear that kind of stuff. This is a really fun movie, and you can watch this in segments too, because you could just watch each part of the anthology separately. The original artwork reminds me of an Iron Maiden or like a Megadeth album cover, which makes sense because those bands riffed on the same comic books, old horror comic books, that this movie franchise riffed on. Okay. Continuing on, we're back to Takeshi Miike. This is the Dead or Alive trilogy. 2 and 3 are fun. 1 is ridiculous. 1 is bookended by some of the coolest scenes that you're going to see in a film. The first 7 or 8, maybe 10 minutes, whatever, of the film feels like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez on acid. It's cut to the music. The music is hardcore and energetic, and the scenes are shot beautifully and cut beautifully. Very fun intro to the film. The ending is one of the most bizarre, shocking endings of any film. It's out there. The other two don't hit that same level, but they are still very much fun films to watch. Now, these are Miike films. Miike did a lot of horror films, but between those horror films, he would do a handful of Yakuza films. I felt like the Yakuza films were probably paychecks to allow him to do the horror films that he loved, because some of them were not good. If you go back through Miike's filmography, you'll see there's a lot. But this franchise kind of brings together his experience with Yakuza films and with horror films into one little package for you. So the thing I don't like is the first film is on 1 disc, which is great. 2 and 3 are on 1 disc. Not great. You get more compression. It just, I don't know. I'd rather have a 3-disc set. So that's the original artwork. I had this on a 3-disc set on DVD, actually, and when I got wind of this Arrow release, I got rid of the DVD. Highly recommended. I mean, honestly, I can't say highly recommended enough, because if it, again, I'm a curator, so if it's on my shelf, I must really like it to some degree, right? Let me get some of this coffee here. We're really going for a long video. Okay, one of my other favorite directors here, Dario Argento's Deep Red. I've had this movie probably 3 other times on different DVDs, because Deep Red is my favorite Argento film. Most people want to reference Suspiria, and I do love Suspiria. It's number 2, but the way that he focused on the murders in this film and tried to make all of the murders be something that has happened to the average person to some degree, and then take that all the way to the degree it needs to be taken to kill somebody, makes them feel so effective and so impactful. You can relate to every death in this film. This movie is just hardcore. I mean, it is hardcore. And it's an Argento film, so it's beautifully shot and edited, and the music is a lot of fun. It's just it's so good, guys. It really is so good. If you are somebody who just loves Suspiria and really hasn't experienced the rest of Argento, you need to see this film. Okay, let's do another set here. So, Hellraiser 1, Hellraiser 2. Hellraiser 1 is a classic, a Clive Barker story. Everybody knows it. Pinhead. Some of the practical effects in this don't hold up so well, only because the discerning eye, especially in HD, can kind of see a couple of spots where you maybe could see the magic behind the scenes happening on screen a little bit. But the characterizations on here, the bringing to life of Pinhead is just so iconic. Pinhead is right up there with Michael Myers and Jason, except he's in on a whole other level psychologically. He has a whole lot more to say than either of those two characters. Original artwork there. Such a good film. The second film, not as good as the first, obviously, but it does have some disturbing imagery, and it does tell a disturbing, effective story. Very much still worth a watch. These are really the only Hellraiser movies in existence to me. The others are kind of terrible, and they sort of detract from the amazingness that is Pinhead. Reversible art there. We can go to the original. I kind of like the new art. The new art leans into the extreme nature of this film and makes it a partner to, but an evolution of the first film. So I like it. There's a lot of great extras on here. Some of these extras exist in other places, but it's good to have them all in one spot. Very great films. We're almost done, you guys. We're really almost there with this set. So we have Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn stars Linda Hamilton. Her and her husband are traveling the country, and they find themselves in a small town where kids have basically killed all the adults, and they've got to find a way to survive. This is based on a Stephen King story. This is one of the most effective and well-told Stephen King adaptations to date. Got the original artwork there. I had this on an Anchor Bay release. I think I had it on Anchor Bay release on DVD and then on Blu-ray. But this Blu-ray actually steps everything up and gives us a lot better selection of bonus features. And I've seen this thing, as of the recording of this, I've seen this movie on the secondhand market a lot for sale at a very reasonable price. So it makes me wonder if I should look it up and see if there's a 4K or something like that coming. This was shot on film, and there's a lot of outside scenes in the corn, especially in the daytime, so some HDR would be amazing on this film. So I don't know if that's happening, but I sure have seen a lot of things or a lot of copies of it out there. So, Eaten Alive. This is a Tobe Hooper film about a man who uses an alligator to basically eat people. It's fun, it's campy, it's very different than Texas Chainsaw. And I remember seeing this film originally as a kid on HBO, or Showtime, late night, whatever. We got DVD and Blu-ray here, so when they were still doing that. Thinking, wow, it feels like when I was a kid, I couldn't figure out what that feeling was that made this film feel like and look so different. Like it looked cheap in one sense, and in the other sense, it had this sort of unique look. It wasn't until later, seeing this as an adult and seeing it as a filmmaker, that I realized what made it look the way it did, or does, is that the entire film was shot on a soundstage. I mean, outside scenes too. So, definitely gives it a certain look. This artwork I'm familiar with. This was on a previous DVD release from a boutique distributor, I think the early 2000s maybe. But it's cheesy, it's campy, it's 80s, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. This doesn't hold a candle to something like Funhouse or Texas Chainsaw, but it's up there. I would go Texas Chainsaw 1 and 2, Funhouse, than this. All right, last film, Society. If you haven't seen this film, I don't want to talk too much about it other than to say that there is some social commentary in here that is very much interesting and fun, and I don't just want to say much other than the last act in this thing is hardcore and crazy and disgusting and disturbing, and just, you got to watch this movie. So we get the DVD and the Blu-ray here. There is a steelbook out of this, but I don't know. I just prefer this release. Sorry about that in the background. I think that was eBay. Anyway, that's the artwork that's on the steelbook, and this is original poster art. So there's I just don't want to say too much because you could easily just ruin this movie for people, and it's gross. I'll tell you that. It's gross. So that is my Arrow Video Standard Edition collection and the end of part 1 of this series. Part 2 is going to have the slipcovers and the limited editions. So I'm excited to share that with you. Share your thoughts, your loves, your hates, your feeling about Arrow Video. Do you like Arrow Video releases? And what's your favorite? Share all that in the comments. Let's talk about physical media. So until next we meet, pull something cool off the shelf, share it with your friends and family, and remind them why physical media is the best way to watch films and TV. I'll see you guys on the next one.